I just needed to move out a bit.
Oh
my gosh. I don't know what, I think I've just sat in the sun and like, I'm drained somehow, even though maybe it should be the other way around.
The sun does take it out of you though, doesn't it? Like it does, it just wipes you out. I don't know why that is, because it's supposed to be like an energy giver, but if I'm out on it for more than 5 minutes, I'm like dead.
Yeah, like what's going on?
Something going on up there? Maybe there's something wrong with our atmosphere.
I get excited though, because at least now I can look more Turkish.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it all like comes out more with the tan.
Like I look more healthy.
Yeah.
I know it's like everyone looks healthier with it, but like me and my sister was saying this, we were just like, I just look so ill like now.
Yeah.
We haven't been in the sun for so long. And like there's a difference between like when your skin's naturally pale and it looks good.
Yeah.
And then there's just like you're just not made for this climate and you actually look sick and your like skin starts to look more patchy and stuff. That's not a vibe.
I know. I love having a tan because as much as I like my pale white skin and seeing all of my veins and everything going on underneath, I just look better with a tan. So I'm ready for the summer. I'm in such a summer vibe today. I've got a mojito flavoured vape. It's adding to the vibes. I've been listening to music from like Bora Bora and like Tahiti and places like that, and
nice.
Like all of the Polynesian islands. So I'm just wishing I was there really right now.
I can't believe it's already been a week as well.
I know. It's just been speeding past really. It always does, don't it? And before you know it, we're back here like ready for a chat of the week's events. And I'm always like, what's been going on? Time's moving so quick.
I know. Now I'm like, I actually don't know what to even like. I guess like a lot's happened, but not really.
I don't
know.
The most major thing that I did in the last week was just I went and watched Billie Eilish, didn't I, on Saturday?
Oh yeah, I was just like Saturday, it was like...
That was like the day.
Packed.
It was a good day. And it was like 24 hours, so you know like when you do something and it's quite like a quick outing, you just pack more in because everyone's like really excited and it's 24 hours, it's spontaneous. So it's nice. I saw like Maddie, who lives up there, my friend, and a guy that I haven't seen from uni for a couple of years, Harry. So he brought his girlfriend, and we all just like had a couple drinks, played some board games like we used to at uni, and went out to the O2 and just had to be around thousands of people for like the first time in a couple of years. I was like, oh, it's sick.
Yeah,
it's sick to get back out and just have fun.
Yeah, that can be kind of weird. I find that still like a bit daunting in terms of like, I forget why it is, to be honest, in the moment, but I guess because of like, yeah, we've been like isolated for a while. But, like, anytime I'm in that situation, I'm always a bit like, like takes my breath away in terms of like, okay, I can do this. Like, that's a lot of people. Like, I'm not used to that kind of thing. It's like a bit.
It was cool. It's like. It was a bit, I thought it was going to be scarier than it was, and then when I was there it was just great, but because I went with like the people I went with, we also just weren't on our phones for the concert like at all, and obviously like a lot of people these days are, so just even in like the slower songs when people had like their phone torches on, we were just, all four of us were stood there just like looking around in a circle and like in awe at the amount of people and all of the lights. And it was just quite fun to, because usually if I'd go to a concert I'd record lows and I'm always on my phone as well, and this was the first time I didn't do that, and it just made it so much more vibey and connected, and it was just such a good time.
Yeah, that thing with recording, you do see that a lot, don't you? Like, even if you watch live performances now, people, like, they're just not connected there, I feel like a lot of people.
Yeah.
And like I find as well, older generations always say like, oh, you're the younger lot, like I'm not pointing fingers, but you guys do that. And it's like, no, you'd be surprised at how many, like, because I do photography at gigs and stuff, how many people like of all ages are like that. Like everyone's addicted. It's not just like,
we like documenting, don't we? But like, it's just too much, and like, it was to the point where I was scared to even take my phone out and like take a video because I was like so adamant with myself. I was just gonna like be fully in the moment, and then I was like, no, Mike, it's fine. You can take like two videos.
It's okay to do
like it's cool. Yeah, but I was having that word with myself. I was just wanted to make sure I was connected, and my brother made a good point. He was like, when you're there and like you're watching someone live, like if they look at you or if people around you are looking at you, it makes like a soul connection. When you're like looking at someone in the eyes, like you connect. So like it makes sense to not be on your phone, so you can actually connect with the people around you. And I was like, yeah, that does make sense, and it did feel like that, so it was good. She looked at me once, and I was like, we're connected now.
Oh, go back.
Oh, did it cut out? I was like, what's happening?
Yeah, you just like froze.
Where did I get to on your end?
Oh no.
It was so funny because I was there and I was like, it's like you just have like that connection when you look someone in the eyes and just talking about human connection. Our connection just failed.
I know.
I can't even see your eyes right now because it's went blurry, and I'm like, no, not when I'm talking about this.
It says no eyes today.
You're like 1 megapixel right now.
Yeah,
for me.
well, I was gonna say it's connected to like what we said last week in terms of that artist I was saying about and how she asks people like, can you not use your phones? All throughout, like she understands that people might want to take a picture or two, but like, can you just put them down after a while? Like people would film the whole set or like the whole song, and like it's nice, I guess. Like I've watched some videos on YouTube where someone's filmed someone's set, like a Holly Humberstone one, but I didn't even watch the whole thing because it'd be better if I was there. So like, and now I feel like this person's filmed like 40 minutes of a set, and they've been filming the entire time, and like as a photographer I know that when I take pictures, it doesn't like take away from the experience, but like I experience it very differently. So like, I don't know, just like not, you're seeing, like you said, you're seeing through a screen, you're seeing
it takes
frames.
you out. It takes you out of the immersion, don't it, of like what you're in. And it was making me think as well of kind of like, because I think we'll see a lot of this whole metaverse and VR becoming very realistic coming up in our future, and then it's like very disassociated from what's like real to you, ain't it? And like that's what I think's worrying. Like if you're living through the phone all of the time, you're not really in this reality per se, and like that's where the connection kind of gets severed. And I see it being the same thing with VR and technology coming up. It has like a disassociative quality to the reality you're in. And I'm just like, I'm just not about that anymore. Like I spent so much time trying to figure out how to connect to myself and the world around me. Like you just find these things falling away, and you're like, oh, it's because of that element to it that I'm just like, put it down, get it away from me.
I've always had like a natural. It's like me with alcohol or even like fast food or tech, like phones and stuff. I've always had like a natural like intuition that it wasn't good for me. Yeah. Like since I was a kid, like it's just natural. Like it was just like my body, my mind was like, nah. I don't think this is like good, especially like I didn't have the want to have it. Yeah. Which is what I think is almost as well like a protection thing, like. It's knowing that if I have it, I could go to excess kind of thing. Oh god, yeah. I'm like that with those things. And I did, like with social media, it was like excess, and I wasn't intentional. It was about feeding my insecurities and all those kinds of things. Yeah. And as well, like even if it's not, my insecurities will flare up because you're dealing with other people constantly. But I was gonna say as well, like even as a photographer, like I've always said, because I've done it at gigs where I'll say 2 videos at most. Yeah. and they gotta be like 20 seconds long. Like you don't need the whole thing. And then what did I say? Oh yeah, so like when I take pictures, I always put my camera down for the last song, and whenever I say that to people, they're like, surely like the band wants that last song as pictures. And I'm like, in pictures you can't tell
Yes.
whether it's a last song or not. And also, like, obviously if there's confetti, I'll just quickly whack it out, get that, and then that's that.
There's always confetti in there.
Yeah, sometimes. Not always, obviously, if they're like little gigs, but
Yeah.
was it? Shoot.
Just the last song.
Just the fact that I like intentionally tell myself like I'm gonna enjoy this last song, because the entire time I'm looking for a viewfinder.
Yeah.
And I'm not there. I'm like really not there.
Mm-hmm.
You're just performing an act, and it's so funny because I've been reading photography books today in the sun, which is nice. Making academic text more fun.
Just literally sitting in the sun.
Yeah, but they talked about like tech and like its influences and stuff, and it's saying about how cameras, like, you know, any other tech, like cameras were actually probably like one of the first things that automatically works without the human really having to do anything. And it was originally to like help people, you know, be more playful and have, I don't know, just like relax a bit more and do less work basically. But now we've like overdone it, and we're almost letting the machine control us. So like originally it was designed around our nature, like that was kind of the idea, whereas now it's about making profit and using it for like the wrong reasons. So then using basically like that thing to control us now.
Yeah.
Like it's so bad. I don't know. And it was saying how it has this kind of structure to it, whereas like we're more flowing, obviously, we're like more tapped into nature. Well, we should be, we're not. Tapped into nature and like cyclical rhythms and spontaneity, and cameras and machines or anything, they don't work like that. They're just tapped into chance.
Yeah.
Like but it's linear rather than being a cycle. I don't know where I was going with
No,
that,
but
I thought it was quite interesting.
It is interesting because I think the whole like cyclical nature of being like a human being on this earth is something that I think may be lost on some people, or they haven't really looked at that and how things work, even down to like the seasons or behavioural patterns, or across time how a lot of the same events happen. There is like a coding and a cyclical nature to how we are. Like even the like sacred geometry that you find in like a pine cone or plants, the way things grow speaks to that kind of cyclical coding as well. And I think if you're not really connected into nature in that way, maybe that's why people escape into like a phone or escape into a camera or into like VR, because it's something that you can, I don't know, maybe you can understand that more. You want to escape into that when you don't understand the energy around you here. So like maybe that's why people kind of get right into that. But it's still all coding. But it is, well, I don't know. I see how it links, but it's hard to explain.
I think people just don't know, like, because in our society, it's collective unconscious, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, all these things that you've been taught and ways of thinking and being, that has just come with being, like, you're born into it.
Yeah.
So you don't know anything different. I don't even know how I got into it. I feel like I found it, and then I found like Taoism and stuff. I was actually just watching, I just shared on Facebook, probably no one will watch it. Who watches that kind of stuff, but
People do.
It's like a Taoism documentary. Like this guy on YouTube just made it. And I just really, really connect with it. Like, it's definitely my thing.
Yeah.
That's where I am at. And like, I'm not like seeking it. I already have that in my life. And like, I already live that philosophy. So, and I already experience it. So it's just, they said something like the people who not practice it but live it, it can be frustrating when the world is run on such a different structure, I guess.
Yeah.
Like a man-made structure, and like it's so far from how, I don't want to say how we should live, because that sounds like right or wrong, but I don't know, like
it's just like being connected,
like it's so
connected
far
into that.
from, it's so far from, I think the best way they said it was just kind of that we've convinced ourselves that we're so separate from everything else, like as if we don't belong on this planet.
Yeah.
That's like, I thought that was quite a smart way to explain it. And we forget that we are a part of this planet, and we're not just like, we don't not belong here. We belong here very well.
Yeah.
And we have the capability to actually take care of it and nurture it, and but we're trying to, like, we're just being manipulated for material and pointless reasons. That to me now, like, I see it so clearly. Like, all I want now is just simplicity, and I don't know, just I don't really care about working hard, like, in that sense.
Yeah.
And like trying to be successful, trying to be seen, couldn't really care less.
Oh, me neither. Me neither. I just want to be. Well, I say I want to be. I do feel connected in that way now, because I do think people can relate to feeling separate and not really realising the connection they have with their surroundings, and that we are a part of that, and we do go through the same cyclical patterns, and we go through the same things. We all have the ups and downs to our energy. There's all of these like patterns that we can find and connect to, help us to understand ourselves better. And like, I feel like I understand myself better because I see how I relate to the world around me, and I feel that connection now. So it's just trippy. And a lot of the ancient cultures really spoke to that. Like, even like the Aztecs and all of the people around that period of time, they mapped the stars. They were really connected to the cycles of nature, and they understood the effects that was having on them. And I think that's why I'm always drawn into it. And like Taoism as well is very much about that kind of energy work. I don't know, I've been pulled a lot into more and more ancient cultures I knew nothing about, and I was reading about like Zoroastrianism from Iran, and Freddie Mercury was a Zoroastrianist, and it's one of the oldest religions that's still here right now. It's like 3,500 years old, and it's like one of the first, if not the first, that had like one god that was the creator of everything, and like wisdom, and this dualistic like good and evil, like chaos versus order. And it's just so interesting that all of these ancient cultures seem to have came on to those natural rhythms, and then it's almost like something happened and we were day one again and figuring it all out and we're just coming to these conclusions again now.
It's just that industrial revolution and change in rhythm.
Yeah.
We try to change rhythm and try to control, and we can't control. We have no control, and I think people are afraid of that because they think, oh, so we don't get a say, like humans aren't free. Like, no, if you surrender, then you gain more control.
Yeah.
If that, like, it's like, I don't get to choose my path as such, but I get to see the opportunities that I'm being given. For a start, I actually have the eyes to see it, because I'm not feeding fear. I'm not closing myself off. And I'm not saying that the world is run by fear. I'm saying it's run by love, and there's faith in that. The world can take care of me, the way it does every other thing.
Well, it's like
and
animals.
I'm not going to try and control when I'm going to die or whatever. It's not up to me.
So animals, I think you can see that a bit clearer because there's almost like a hive mind or a hive mentality among a lot of animals. They naturally fall into their structures within their groups and they carry out all of the things that they need to do. Even like, I can't remember which islands they were, but my brother was talking about like these locusts. I think it was near Easter Island and the islands around there, and how the locusts just travel over to each of the islands and help bring all of the plant life to them and everything. They have like a coding and a purpose, and they follow their instincts to that, but it still comes from something that's aiding and helping the earth. And maybe we're a bit different in that respect because we have like imagination and we can really like plan what we want to go towards or what we want to aim for. Maybe that gives us a bit of something, but it's still largely, I think it's still largely written. But if you're like making those choices because of what you want to do, who cares if it's written? It's still new to you right now and you're still like experiencing things that you want to.
As well, I think actually, before I forget, but I'll carry on. I was going to say, for like any woman who's like questioning like about cycles and whatever, like if you're in alignment, your period will start on the full moon no matter what. And so many people aren't aware, and people go, oh yeah, we come in sync because we work together, we live together. No, it's because of the moon. Like it's because of nature and rhythm and like all these things. Like if that isn't enough to showcase it, then I don't know what is. But like if you're not aware of the cycles of nature, then you're not able to make that connection either, because you just think, oh, they're separate, when of course they're not.
It's a relief. I think it's like a relief because there's such an element of predictability in a way to living on this earth because of these cycles. And I think that's why people are drawn to like star signs, even if they don't, like on a large level, people do know them or read them. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the way it's done in the Western world is probably a load of crap, but people are still drawn to that idea that there is a meaning to the cycles and the things around them. And it's like, yeah, there is. Like, it does have an impact. The moon has an impact on you. The sun has an impact on you. It's like all of these things do work to put you in certain spaces or certain time. You know what I mean? Certain moods.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that to me is exciting because you can feel more at home in that then, and not feel so separate.
That's what I was going to say earlier, is like, I think we said this on the podcast that got deleted.
Throwback.
Yeah, we're back. But kind of, like, I believe in that kind of like the Tao, God, that one entity, that thing, that kind of, you know, the energy that kind of rules all.
Yeah.
And grows everything and takes care of everything. But at the same time, yeah, the moon does that. Yeah, like we see these cycles and other things do influence us, but it doesn't mean that we should praise the moon, or like it's not all of the moon, you know, like that. There's a bigger thing that's guiding the moon itself.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's influencing us, but we shouldn't like fully give all our energy and power over to like something material like that, like the moon or whatever else it is. The stars.
I just think it's really fun because like when you look into those cycles, or just like the kind of physics that govern the earth itself, I think once you kind of get an awareness on how that's working and the energy around it, you can start to really take a bit of control in your life just by aligning to those things rather than going against them. Like if you don't have the awareness on them, you're going to be feeling resistance at different points but not knowing where the resistance is coming from, and it will be coming from certain cycles maybe that you're going against because you're not in sync with them or whatever it is. So I'm like, there is that bigger thing beyond here, and I believe in that too, that source that everything kind of comes from. And it's like, yeah, you can connect into that for yourself, I believe, but also having an awareness on the kind of coding and rules where we live will benefit you in your life here as well, because we live here, we live in this reality. So it's kind of, yeah, an awareness and a connection to both of those things. I think it's really, that's what I've been drawn to anyway in my life. And like what you see repeated through every culture and every religion, these ideas are all in there. And that's, you know, being here is part of like, it's part of the journey, trying to understand that in what we are and what's around us.
Yeah, like you kind of, It's funny because I feel like it's trying to understand it, but then once you find that overall energy and you tap into that and you learn to surrender to it, you don't really need to know anything else. Like, oh yeah, that's what I was going to say in terms of like, yeah, we have imagination and dreams, but sometimes I feel that like the Tao or whatever God uses that because it's the only way to get your attention to do the right thing.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't need those. You don't need. This is gonna be very like people go like what, but like you don't need like dreams and aspirations and like all these things, because if you just surrender to this moment, like you have everything you could ever wish for. Like that's where I'm at. It's not giving up. It's not saying I don't want more, but like I'm just so content that whatever comes my way, I'm open to it and I'll give it a good go.
Yeah.
But I've got to be here to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And if I'm up in my head dreaming and fantasizing, then I'm not here, and I'm not gonna feel like that connection to the bigger and wider energy that is flowing through nature. Nature's constantly tapped in. We're falling behind if we're floating about in space, you know, like.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
It shouldn't be effortful either. It should just be like I just want to. I want to tap into that.
Yeah.
And if I fall off, I fall off. No biggie.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hate yourself, right? It's just okay. Let's go back.
It is about being present, ain't it, in the moment, to kind of be in that energy for sure. I think everything we spoke to this point is like, you know, being on your phone too much or being on the camera too much. Like, all of these things are taking you out of the moment and then taking you away from maybe that connection that we're talking to. And there's constant distractions, so like it is a minefield. Like you have to constantly check in with yourself and be like, oh, am I here? Where am I? But yeah, just everything that we're talking about has been coming up a lot for me in the last week as well. Just like this cyclical nature of the world we live in and this connection to a bigger power, like it's just everywhere. And like I'm being drawn to like cultures that are speaking to that as well. It's like it's everywhere that you look. But I love it.
I actually, you know, I've been doing these boards every morning.
Like your affirmation boards.
Yeah, and one of them was on cycles. It was literally on the day I started.
Yeah.
Too much information, but on my
it's natural.
on my time of the month, guys.
Yeah. Just let you know.
Yeah. So and then I pulled these cards, and it was said about. I was asking what in your life is no longer in alignment with who you truly are. Surrender to how you have changed and align life to that way of being. Courageously step into the person that you came here to be. Embrace uniqueness. And it said we are cyclic beings in a constant state of change, evolution and growth. Embrace your cyclic nature. And yeah, so and then loads of messages about change being the only constant. It's like literally come up in my photography research to everything else that I've like kind of. I don't even spend much time with this stuff. It just kind of comes up.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Change is the only constant. I do love that. I love that line because that was coming up for me last week. I think I might have even said it in the podcast.
You did.
Like just the change being the only constant. Because like all of this like old imagery that like permeates our collective unconscious talks to that as well. Like even the snake eating its tail, the phoenix rising from the ashes. All we've got is this like death and rebirth cycle. Like we're continually changing and evolving, and I think that's amazing.
But that's kind of the main message though, isn't it? It's like like in the man-made world, like a lot of us just are ever changing and we're resistant to change because we're scared and we're tapped into lack mentality and fear. Whereas like when you're in a loving and trusting mentality, which is a choice. Again, could be triggering for people, but it is a choice.
Everything's a choice.
And like you can literally shift your entire mentality. I don't know where I was going because I had my mum and I was worried she was going.
Oh, I heard that as well.
I just like lost my train of thought.
Oh no, I've done the same thing. Oh no, okay. If you can't remember, what I was thinking as you said that is I had a realization this week about that I kind of hold myself to like a constant of who I think I am. Do you know, in the sense of I kind of forget about these natural cycles that we have, natural ups and downs, even like our breath is a natural up and down, and I always am trying to hold myself to this one version of myself, like I need to be this consistent person, and then I'm like, no, there's these natural cycles. Sometimes I'm down, sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm along that curve in one way or another, and it's like letting go of that idea that we need to be one thing at all times. We need to flow with the energy around us because that's what's there. This constant is not.
I forgot to put my microphone on again.
No, it'll be fine. It sounded fine last time, didn't it?
Okay. Sorry.
No worries.
But yes, yes. So sorry guys if it sounds weird. But yeah, the idea of saying the same. Do you mean in like emotions or like as a person?
Just like my identity as a person, you know? Like I think sometimes when I'm feeling a bit lower, I can beat myself up for not doing the things that I would do if I was in a higher mood, but that's kind of forgetting about the ups and downs that we do go through, and that's just how the energy is. It's an up and down. So like I've just kind of had that thought like, oh, I can love myself whether I'm down or up, and I need to just be okay with that rather than trying to always be one way.
I was actually watching this thing and she was saying about how they're like, it's something about like the testosterone, I don't know the exact scientific situation, but is like renews or like, I don't know, it's like a 24-hour round thing.
Okay.
Whereas with women's it's a 28-day cycle.
Yeah.
So like you guys are on different cycles to women's cycles.
That's
in
interesting.
terms of, like hormones.
Yeah.
So your hormones cycle 24 hours.
That makes a lot of sense.
28 days. So that's why like, so you guys might have one bad day and the next day you're fine. Whereas women might have like a whole week where they're like really down in the dumps and then come out. And I think it's really important to understand like our own biology in terms of change.
Yeah.
Because I think that grounds us, because I think a lot of people think, oh, it's just like a load of rubbish. But like if you actually want to look into the science of it, that way you're going to understand yourself a lot better and be able to like take care of yourself more, I think. And like it's actually grounded in knowledge then. Yeah.
I think people feel like they're losing control when they acknowledge that there are these cycles that affect them. And it's like really you're giving yourself more control because you understand them.
Exactly.
It's like a funny catch-22, and like the brain just does that to you. It's like, no, I don't want to know that. I don't want to change. But you change anyway.
Exactly. And I think, oh yeah, this is what I was going to say, is that like, here's the main thing about surrendering and people thinking that they have no control, is that they, you know, we can attach ourselves to this human being, Leyla, Mike, who has all these things that they do, family and friends, and yes, you do need to be connected to that and still ground yourself to that, because we are in a physical manifestation. But how I see it is that I'm not in control of anything that's happening. Anything that's coming out of my mouth is not me. I'm the person watching the film. If that makes sense. And like, if you watch the film, it's just entertainment. That's how I see it. Like everything's just a really long, entertaining film, and I'm like, oh, what's going to happen next? Oh, she's dealing with this well, and she's not dealing with that quite well. It's kind of like that, and it's not judgmental or personal. It's just loving. Yeah.
Well, if anything, that mindset you're speaking to is that observer mentality that you kind of cultivate in meditation and things as well, ain't it? Like taking a step back and being that person behind this, watching everything. And I think, I mean, that speaks to science anyway. That concept is very interesting. And I think in that space you are being non-judgmental just by nature. You're just allowing things to come up and go. It is that rising and falling of energy again. You just let things come up, you let them go, and you're watching it. And then it reminds me of the Matrix, when they always wear the sunglasses in the simulation, so they're watching it like a film. It's like to remind them that what they're watching is not real.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll wear some sunglasses all the time now.
I like the Matrix. No, I feel like I have been in the Matrix, and I'm now fully integrated out of it. And it's like new world where you just kind of get new. Well, I feel like I'm still new to it, but like I've gotten more comfortable with it now.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. But also with me, like I don't feel like before I was almost trying and pretending like I'm the observer, but I still believe that I was this.
Yeah.
Like whatever's happening and this person. Whereas now I'm just watching like the Tao's or God's film play out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also that same energy. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So like because I surrendered to it, I can just sit back. Like I don't actually have to do anything. I just have to. All I have to do is happen to love, and that's it. I don't know.
If you
like,
observe,
you literally don't have to do anything.
but if you observe and surrender, you can see the kind of patterns at play as well. You can see them, so that might inform a different decision, even just because you're viewing it in that way. You know, you might be in a certain environment, see a certain thing for observing, and just move out of it. Like it helps inform like how you're moving as well, in a very different way than if you were like immersed into what you're watching. You almost have to take yourself out of it to make a more informed decision sometimes. It's like a non-reactive space.
Yeah. But I'm also like, I'm not this at all.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so hard. Yeah. I'm just, you can just like enjoy it and like be really at peace with it. It's really nice. It's very hard to put into words though. I think it's not supposed to be put into words, and like for a while as well, like I have been in the state, but I'm just very like cautious about talking about it.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, yeah, this is what I mean.
Maybe.
There's no point in even talking about it because I'm happy.
Yeah.
And that's and I've found this space where I think everyone can be.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't need to convince, because I'm in that space where I'm not a person anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not controlling. I don't need to tell anyone.
Yeah.
Because it's not their journey. This is mine.
Fair enough.
Like this is this being's journey. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
So,
also like people will come to you in your environment, and maybe you'll share certain things or you'll connect, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to plan anything. You don't need to speak about it. You don't need to preach anything. Like people will come around you, and that's all that. And then maybe you'll speak to them about certain things. That's all it is, ain't it? Just seeing what comes up in your environment. It also kind of reminds me of if you jump into water and panic, you drown, but if you surrender, you float and go with the flow of the water itself. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of what I was seeing in my head when you were like surrender. It's like when you are in water and you surrender and then you just survive and you float and you're carried with the current, you know?
It's funny because today's card, like on my whiteboard, it says surrender.
Yeah.
Because that was the card I pulled.
Yeah.
So it's all about trust.
Yeah.
It's all about trust that we're safe and no longer carrying that baggage from the past. And like you were saying, like no longer needing to be consistent in who you've been.
Yeah, definitely.
Because past self, who was living in the matrix, was trying to please everyone and make everyone comfortable. And now, it's not that, like, it won't, if it makes people uncomfortable, it's going to make people uncomfortable, but actually it's a lie. The mind tells us that if we are ourselves, if we do it like this, then people can be uncomfortable. But actually, you're just letting people be. You're letting yourself be. It's not that you don't care. You don't care about the things that people say that you should.
Yeah.
So naturally, it actually puts people more at ease.
Yeah. I think you just don't care about material elements of things either. You know, I think you're told to care about things that when you're in this space, why would you care about them? You know, we don't need to care about the external material elements because it all is about you. And it's all about within, to me anyway, that's how I see it. So I just don't care, and I'm not judgmental in the way that maybe people want you to be in this sort of society where everything's about external rather than internal.
It's funny actually, because recently I shared a post about my last job place looking for people.
Yeah.
And I left there for like some, you know, I was done there. I wasn't the person for that group of people.
Yeah.
You know. But I also think I was in a state of mind of looking for problems. So I don't really know the truth. I don't know the truth. I never will. But it is what it is. Anyway, I shared it and was like, you know, for people in town to come and work. And my sister messaged me saying, "Oh, did they not treat you badly and whatever?" And I said, "No, it's okay. Like, I think that they are a good company. Like, I never thought they were bad."
Yeah. You just knew one right for you.
It just wasn't. I was just down there. And yeah, there were some things that are toxic for me that they could be great for other people, and I know that because I've seen it from other people. And that's what I was trying to explain to her. She said, "Oh, that's not what you said before," and I was like, well, "I'm allowed to change my mind."
Yeah.
You know, I'm allowed to do that. We're all allowed to do that, and that's what forgiveness is, because you see that might not be for you, but it could be for someone else. It could be an amazing opportunity, and for a while it was a great opportunity for me. So
I think that's a very...
I
just think that's a beautiful way to put it. That is toxic for you, but not for other people. Like, it might be the exact right thing for someone else, because you can apply that to so many things where, like, this has been toxic for me, but it's not necessarily that person's fault. It's just toxic for me, and it wouldn't be for somebody else. It's the same with like relationships and all of that sort of thing. It's a very good way to put that.
And people, like, I left months ago, 2 months. People change, companies change, people leave and come. I don't know what's happened in there.
Yeah, true.
But I do know that no matter what, I care. I think they're a great company. I thought that from the very beginning, and I want to support them. And it might not be supporting through the inside, but at least I can support from the outside and show them that, yeah, okay, maybe you don't like my ideas, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I hope that you find someone that you do want to like jump on their ideas with, and who helps you to grow your business, because I think they've got a good thing going.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, it's nice. It's like you seem in a very like chill space, you know, from what you've been saying about, I guess, that observer viewpoint and just allowing things to come and go. At least it gives you peace as well. And you're not holding on to anything with any grudges, because you're just like, that wasn't for me, but it will be for someone else. That's fine. That allows you to just not get weighed down with all of this shit that you would have done before. So I think that's great. It's nice to just be feeling comfortable.
Yeah.
And peaceful.
just as well, like realizing that fear is not like a thing.
Yeah.
Is but speaking of, I still need to get over this part of it in terms of so I sat in Cheltenham and I was like, oh, invited to the skate park in Gloucester, and that meant I need to get a bus. It's like a 50-minute one, and it's like a long process, and I don't really know them that well. Show up, and I still have my board on me. That means I have to skate in front of a load of people. All this going through my head, and I saw the bus was there because I was sat on the bench, and I just went, oh, just get on it. Just get on it. The worst you can do is sit in the park next to it and then get the bus back.
Yeah.
If you can't, but at least go.
Yeah.
And I ended up sitting there, and yeah, the whole time there was that part of me that was kind of judging me and saying like, Leyla, why can't you just go on your board, and like, why can't you just take risks, and why can't you just be fun, and like all this crap. And I was like, maybe I just don't want to. Is that okay? Like, I don't want to right now. Like, leave me alone. Like,
yeah.
And like I did get up like for a tiny bit, but I just wasn't in the mood because the whole day I'd been walking, and I skated into town, which is like a 30-minute walk.
Yeah.
So I just like, I'm tired, like, and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. I'm done judging myself. Like, it's just tiring, and like, yeah, let's face our fears and stuff, but like me just going there was facing my fear anyway. So like the next step, yeah, it could have been freeing, but it could have also made me feel really, really vulnerable, and I feel like sometimes you know when you're not ready to face some things, and that's okay as well. I think it can be difficult in a self-growth world where we're like always push, grind. It's like, how about like we just go with like patient, loving, nurturing nature,
and
which is slow.
And it shows the importance of checking in with yourself all the time as well, because it's like you're saying, I just wasn't feeling it, and that's okay. And you just have to continually do that, don't you? Like check in and be like, how am I actually feeling? Because on the one hand I want to push myself for self-growth, but also it's not going to actually benefit me if that's not where I'm at and that's not how I'm feeling. It's more growth to always listen to yourself and do what that's telling you. You know what I mean? Like, it's more growth for you to still go there and not get up and do that because you didn't give in to the voices telling you to. You were just checked in with yourself and you were like, actually, I'm not feeling that right now, and I'm going to listen to that. That's more growth than going against yourself.
It's like more following joy.
Yeah.
And like, I just knew that if I followed the other one, I'd be super like feeling like really self-aware and like and might have hurt myself, like, because I was not in the right mentality. I know that I'm more likely to fall over.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Definitely.
Like when you're around people, like, and if you're feeling insecure, you end up doing stupid things by accident because you're not present and you're not confident.
Yeah, and you have to be present to pull that off, especially with skating. I'd imagine is you have to be very in the moment with that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just like, no, it's not the time, but I'd like to come back because it was an event. So like, loads of people who were like amazing there.
Yeah.
So, and I know no one will judge, but like, I didn't want to get in the way almost, and that's obviously something I need to work on as well, in terms of like me not wanting to get in the way, but it's coming from a loving place, so nothing wrong with it.
Well, yeah, it's a skill at the end of the day, and you've got more to learn maybe before you put yourself on display in that sort of environment. But you still took yourself there. You've still done the journey. Like, that element won't give you any anxiety now because you've been, you know what it looks like, you've experienced the vibe, so you've given yourself the tools for when you are ready because you still went there and sat in it and around it. Which is great. That's half the battle. That's half the anxiety anyway, isn't it? All of the before stuff before you get somewhere.
Exactly. No, I've said this to someone before that it's so silly, but like skating in front of other people, like on a ramp or like doing ramps and stuff, is actually one of the things that scares me the most in life. Like, I could do it as bungee jump, I could skydive, fine.
Yeah.
But for some reason, like, that is, and is so scary, but I usually find that the things that matter to me the most and the things that I could definitely do and build my skill on are the things that scare me the most. So that is also true for, you know, writing my own music and playing it in front of people.
Yeah.
Like the idea of even doing a whole like set is like terrifying.
Yeah.
So scary. But it's those two things, like if I could do those, I'd be very, very proud of myself.
Oh yeah, and like I feel like any creator says that they feel that intense nervousness and fear before they do the thing, but the difference is that they push through that and still do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you would feel that if you were going to do a set for the first time, but that's because you care about it. Is being able to still go through that and do it. That's the only difference.
Yeah, I just feel like if there's things that have kind of not like a safety fear, but like irrational kind of fear.
Yeah.
In terms of like just being judged, like if it's the biggest ones are always the ones you should go towards. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But again, like for me, my approach is gentle.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think you don't have to be aggressive with it. I think you can be gentle and like take it really small steps at a time. And at some point, you'll be doing those things. I just don't see the point in rushing. I know people are like, oh, you'll die tomorrow, but I don't want to have a stressful life. So
Yeah.
I just want to do the things that make me feel like joyful and then by accident learn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Definitely.
So, I just trust that there will be moments where I will put to and I'll feel ready, but it just takes time.
Well, even your approach to this podcast was what you're saying. It was very calm. It was letting things come together, like, you know, without pushing it or causing stress. And you were teaching me that as we were doing this, and we're here doing it right now. So it all came together. But you were very like hot on telling me that like it's fine. Like we don't need to rush anything. We don't need to force anything. We don't need to create any stress. These things will come together. We're taking small steps towards it, and eventually we'll be doing it, and we are. So I think, yeah, you taught me that mentality through this. So I can see that is true. You can still get to things that way, and you don't need to be like really stressed and like trying to force anything to get to whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah, it's because it's fear again, fear of time passing, fear of death.
Yeah.
Don't let that like take hold of you. And the thing is, like, don't get me wrong, like when we were in that process, of course my part of my brain was like, this annoying, or like, but it's the moment I have that, it's like, how can I switch this? How can I? You have to switch it, and you go, I trust the process. And I've done that in like my last projects and like this one, because I've taken a break. In the beginning I was like feeling really stressed, and I'd say the past 2 days I've just gone, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And the moment I've done that, like I was stressing about the essay, and then I was like, oh yeah, I wrote like a 5,000 practice essay in my last module. So I can use that and work on that and build on it. But I wasn't thinking like that. I was just like, oh gosh, I've got to do something unique and new, and no, let's build on what we already know. And then I was stressed about money and like, oh, I can't get these things. I was like, okay, let's simplify the project, simplify it so much. So that's what I'm doing. And in my head, because I've always been someone, I'm sure you're saying, like in terms of like people pleasing or whatever, you always feel like you have to do more.
Yeah.
More. Push. And now I'm like, no, actually, like I know that's not true, because the things I appreciate most is like, you know, things like less is more kind of mentality, whether it's in decoration, like Japanese homes, the way they're intentional, like I'm watching these silent vlogs that are like super intentional, the way that they live is intentional. They do less in their days, but it's more intention, more beautified, and more love and nurturing put into it. And I just think if I value that, then that means I need to put that in.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to value my work otherwise.
Yeah.
Because it's too much. I'm trying too hard.
Yeah. And it doesn't ever produce the results you want when you're in that energy either. We know that. So like that simplicity element is gonna give you what you need, I feel like, for sure. What were we just saying? Because now all I'm thinking about is my song of the week. But did we wrap up what we were saying?
I think we wrapped up.
Because I think we were talking. Well, this song kind of feeds into the theme of that grounding energy that you're speaking to, because this song is called Grounded. And it's by an artist. I'll have to look because I can't pronounce her last name, but it's Olivia Foa-E. So she's from Samoa, if you couldn't tell by the name, and she grew up in New Zealand. And so my brother is doing the playlist for the Polynesian Islands this week, so that's the one that I got yesterday, and this song really stuck out to me. Something about the like culture with the drums and just the way they sing, you'll love it. It's such a good vibe.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and she also did sing, I think, for Moana. So that's how she broke out to more wider success, because she sang some songs for that soundtrack, because it's obviously very authentic to that vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been really it's been giving me every vibe I want, especially when it's like hot and I'm sweating.
I really like the idea of the grounded part. And I was trying to think about the thinking that I had, like, I think it was like this morning or last night, but it was around grounding, and it was kind of like not like this thinking energy that you can think, but you've also like it literally is like you've got your roots down. Like I genuinely feel like I've got my roots down now, whereas before I was just like a helium balloon.
Floating away in your thoughts.
And like it's so important for like us to just stop and ground ourselves. Now I like literally have a timer like 4 times a day. Well, not for the morning and night. So it's like when I wake up, I'll like ground. Noon kind of time, I'll ground. And then like sunset or like afternoon, and then before I go to bed. That's actually influenced by like I was like, oh yeah, Muslim people like pray like 5 times a day. Let's see when they pray, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that for like grounding, like breathing. And if I wanna say anything, I can say something, but it's more about just like pause and just remember that I'm a physical body and I'm rooted.
Yeah.
Then he got my iPad because I left it over that, and I can't remember the song. I remember that song's called, but not like who it's by.
Yeah. No worries. I've just been like wiping a money spider off my face as you were talking, so it didn't leave a mark. I didn't know what it was, and then I was like, oh.
Money spider.
That is what you call the little ones, ain't it? I don't know why.
I don't
know why it's called that. There's so many phrases that when they pop into my head, I just look them up because I need to know where they came from originally and why they're still here.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I was gonna say it's one song, but now I'm like, so many options. Okay, I'm gonna say 2.
That's fine. That's fine. There's no rules here.
Literally, it was the day after we had our last call, and I put on a record that my mum like got from this lady from work who's been like giving charity or something. My mum was like, oh, Leyla listens to them, so she took them in from me. And then it's called You've Got a Friend. So not the album, but a song that I found on that. But the whole album's pretty chill. It's called You've Got a Friend by James Taylor. Okay. It's kind of like a romance song, but it's just really nice in terms of just saying like you can call whenever you want, and it's just this like really open, loving energy, which I feel like a lot of us lack in terms of like community, and we're scared to like reach reach out for help. So I think this is a good little message. And then the other one that I was going to say is called Diva by Princess Nokia, and I found that in
Oh God, I love Princess Nokia.
Yeah, she is sick, and it's just very woman empowering and stepping into loving ourselves, and just being like, it's okay to have kind of high standards, but also I feel like she's kind of tapped in spiritually, like most of them. And then she as well, I think the main point is that she's empowering other women through that song. Like she's bigging up, like naming other women, and I think that's like really important because there seems to be this kind of idea that women like scare each other or are competing, and I think that's actually been put in our heads by like the male dominated society.
I was just pointing to myself with the camera before you said it. I was like,
I know. I was like, it's not you.
It's not me personally, but
that
people that may look like me.
You're kind. And actually, women like that. I don't think that actually existed from us. I really don't.
I don't either. I agree with you there. I think it's a product. It's a product of the system.
Yeah, and I thought about it actually the other day when I was hanging out with a guy mate, and he said, "Oh yeah, because he has a girl mate," and oh no, oh yeah. So basically, he was letting one of his girl mates meet another group of girl mates who was just stood in a corner somewhere or something, and he said, "Oh, she just went up to them." And you know what girls are like, you know, and I was like, well, like intimidating? And he was like, yeah, you know, it can be a bit like closed off and stuff. And I was like, no, if you look for that, it will look like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look, I think girls are just like, we're just timid, like we're just a bit like cautious. That's all it is. That's all that energy is. It's not bitchiness or anything like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are bitchy people, but that's because we've been told that we should fight each other and all stuff, and be jealous and stuff. And just because one person's beautiful doesn't mean the other person isn't. Like, there's plenty to go around.
The cautious energy is also extremely understandable in our world. Of course, there's going to be a cautious energy. There's a lot of things to be cautious of as a woman that I don't have to think about, so I understand that.
I think it's not, again, it's right in our biology because we're made to look after babies.
Yeah.
So we look for danger.
Yeah.
We are wired to look for danger.
Mm-hmm.
So it's our natural innate thing to be cautious. It's coming from a loving place, counting that's the biology of it. That's the you know, it's to take care and nurture others. So it makes a lot of sense. And I'm just gonna get my cards.
I do love Princess Nokia as well. Just because you were saying that she named the women, she's done that in quite a lot of her songs and spoke about why she does that, and it was because of what you said. She was like, I feel like there's this culture that surrounds women, and you know, I don't see that personally. I just uplift anyone that's adding value. So she's very much about that, and she's like very spiritual as well. The first song I heard by her was called Brew, which is like witch. So she's like, she is tapped in. She got that.
Nice. I didn't want to take this out, but apparently it's still coming. Sometimes I'm like, no, this is what I mean, like surrendering. Because things come out that I'm like, I don't want that one.
I wanted a different
one.
There's
nothing wrong with it, but like there's a part of me that's just like, nah. Or it came out too soon or something like that. But this one's called Birthing a New Age, Birthing New Creations, Dreaming a New World into Being, which, I mean, I feel like I'm definitely in that energy. I don't know about you. But...
Oh, definitely. Even astrologically, we're in that energy.
Yeah.
We're in a whole new era. Aquarius. It's a lot of newness. A lot of old structure, a lot of new structures.
So often our path is exactly the one that we don't feel prepared to walk it anyway. Often what is rising feels far bigger than we could possibly hold. Be a container for it anyway. Often our creations seem to have a wild, uncontrollable consciousness of their own. Birth them anyway. Often what is ours to do is the very thing that most intimidates us.
That's a joke. That's probably I know they're always like this, but that one just felt way more on
it's
the
like
nose.
I literally just said that, except like I didn't use the intimidate, I just said the thing that you're scared of the most.
Yeah, that's jokes.
Be courageous and do it anyway. We are birthing a new age. Right now we're in a transition period between ages. In the process of allowing the old cycle to fall away and the new to rise, I definitely feel that.
Yeah, because that's literally where we're at. So
Like driving in the fog and trusting the road will appear ahead, we need to release old identities and ways that no longer serve us, using our intuition as a compass.
I've just got chills.
It's just like everything we just said.
But also, not to interrupt, but the fog thing I just said, on New Year's Eve of all days, my whole family went out on the moors here, like on Dartmoor, and they just got stuck in fog. They were surrounded by the thickest fog I'd ever seen, and they just had to trust that they were going to get out because you couldn't even see in front of you. So they were just driving out, and I was like, it felt very symbolic because it's New Year's and it's at the start of a new year, and you just drove through that fog not knowing, and then you just came out of it. You just had to trust. They literally had that experience. It was just, that was funny.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
You are part of a group of souls who have been incarnating at different periods of history, preparing for this exact time, dreaming a new world into being. And then it just says a load of things like artists, visionaries, mystics, healers. No, Mum, I'm on call. No, can you wait a little bit, please? It's the printer again.
I knew it was going to be the printer.
It drives me up the wall, but anyway, we deal with it. I could be in a worse situation when it's time to give permission and space for what is beckoning within to be born. We are dreaming a new world into being. And then it says, I am open to surrendering to the creations that are wanting to be birthed through me. May I be of service in a way that delights my mind, body and soul. Please use me, please lead me, please show me the way. So that's very nice.
It is.
I picked a second one. Protection. It's called. Call back your power, cut the cords, soul retrieval. You are being called to protect your energy and call back your power. May all the lost pieces return home now. Take a look at who and what drains your energy. Do not keep your tabs open.
We've literally
This is what I'm saying about simplifying. Like it's life changing. Shut down energetically each night. Energetic cords are formed between people, places, objects, and events, so it's important to keep checking in. Your energy and energetic space are sacred, so treat them as such. Keeping your energy clear takes work. As we go through life, we can give away our power, so it is important that we call it back by cutting energetic cords or doing a form of healing known as soul retrieval. Can you think of a traumatic event, relationship, or soul memory that you're being called to call back your power from? Check into your body now and see which chakra feels it needs a bit of energetic cleanup. And then it just says, I call back any lost soul fragments, power or light now. Any vows, soul contracts, hexes or programs from the past or present, from this life or others that are not in the highest good of all, I relinquish now. Any power or light that I have willingly or unwillingly given away or have had taken from me, I call back now. Any cause or attachments from this life or others, I release now for the highest good of all, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. So that's today.
I love that. It was very connective, as it always is.
Yeah, I feel like, it's talking about birthing a new world, a new age, but first we need to release we need to release and we need to stop holding on. Simplify. I think that's what it is. It's just like simplify and forgive. Big time.
Simplify and forgive.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to go, Leyla.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've actually booked some studio time tonight.
Cool.
And I've booked a vocal coach because I'm sick of everyone I know telling me that I can't sing. I believe there's a voice to be found in here, so I'm gonna let them try and dig it out of me. I don't know if I'm gonna be a rapper or if I'm gonna go operatic, but I need someone to help me. I need someone to help me figure it out. There's many different things you could do in there, and I need to find what mine is. So that is my evening. And next time I see you, I'll be like, this is it.
This is it. I've got my album.
Just start rapping to you. I'll be like, this is my voice now. I figured it out.
In one session.
One session. It's gonna do it.
Have fun. Have fun.
I will do. I can't wait.
Very little.
Take care of yourself. Bye.